I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Get up off of that thing and dance till you feel better. Get up off of that thing and try to sing it now. Get up off of that thing and dance till you feel better. Get up off of that thing and try to release that pressure. I don't know what that thing is, but you need to get up off it because I'm back. The Peng Sports Podcast is back. I'm back like Jennifer Lopez. I'm back like Megan Thee Stallion. I'm back like Nicki Minaj. If you don't get it, then you won't get it. But I'm back. The Peng Sports Podcast is back. How was your Kwanzaa? How's your Hanukkah? How's your Christmas? How's your New Year's? How are you doing today? I've been good. I've been healthy. Not a lot happened. Got a new hair routine. Lost some baby teeth. I can count to 100 now. But most importantly, I'm back. It's currently 7:19 a.m. January the 19th, but you'll probably be hearing this, well, you will be hearing this January the 20th, Thursday. And the key message here today is, I'm back. I'm back. If you hear the wind blowing, it's because it's cold in this house. It's cold in the place where I'm residing. I have thin skin. I'm cold. I got socks on. I'll be able to make it through the podcast. This is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 41. And if you didn't catch it already, here it is again. I'm back. I'm back. Now, no lollygagging, let's get to it. African nations kicked off last Sunday. You might be asking yourself, who's my favorite? Who am I going with? Who am I riding with? If you look on the Peng Sports website, I told you who's the most talented team in African nations. Who's the most talented team in Africa? Ivory Coast. They probably play the most competitive football in Serie A, in La Liga, Premier League, in Eredivisie, Dutch League. They probably play the most competitive and probably have the most talent. But that doesn't win you African nations. It doesn't. As you can see with the reigning champions Algeria, probably weren't the most talented. Probably weren't as talented as a Senegal side back in 2019, but they won. In this tournament, though, what's going to win it? How do you win African nations? I think it's a tournament of moments. It's a tournament of moments, not a tournament of tactics, not a tournament of consistency. It's a tournament of moments. Maybe 2019 it was a tournament of consistency. With Algeria, they're probably the most consistent team throughout the tournament. As I said, not the most talented, but the most consistent. Right? Last night or yesterday, or whenever they played, different time zone, Zimbabwe versus Guinea. And Guinea has more talent than Zimbabwe, easily. With Ishak and Nketiah, they have the better team. They dominated possession. But two key moments decided the game. And there were three key moments, but Zimbabwe had two of the three key moments, and that's what won them the game. Didn't have more possession. Didn't dominate the game like the way they played when they had the ball, but didn't dominate possession, didn't dominate the game, but they had the moments. And that's what won the game. In this tournament, everyone has pace. In this tournament, everyone has almost at least one star. Especially when you get later into the tournament. Everyone has at least one star. It's just how it's going to be. But I say it again. It's a tournament of moments. It's a shame Zimbabwe's leaving. But they didn't have enough moments because they played good football. They just didn't have the moments. We talked about Algeria, 2019 champions. They were the most consistent team in 2019, and that's what won the 2019 tournament. 2022, they've had over 65% possession in both of their matches, and they've tied and lost. It's a tournament of moments. I also believe it's a dangerous tactic, and I see it in some instances, and sometimes I don't see it in this tournament, where teams over-rely on their stars. Some of the attributes that make them good in Europe don't make them good in Africa. As I said, everyone in this tournament is fast and strong. And everyone has at least one talented player. I saw, in most instances, in Europe, this play would have been a breakaway. Zimbabwe gets the ball, corner kick. I won't say one of the faster players, but the man had pace. I don't know his name. And he has to go back. He has to pass it back. And actually, Guinea scored off of this. And he passed it back or because he couldn't have the break because everyone has the same amount of pace and everyone can track back just as fast as he could. So it's an interesting tournament in that aspect. When you see Euros, usually what works when you play for Juventus will work when you're playing Germany or work when you're playing Hungary. It will. Because European play similar styles on the international and club level. Even though it may be different players, still pretty much the same style. Africa, different style, different coaching, just totally different. That's the great thing about the World Cup in a lot of instances. And that's why I think it's better for football when a South American team wins it, or an African team wins it, or a North American, Asian, Australian team wins the World Cup. Because it incorporates more diversity. It's not one way to win it. Over the past 3, 4, who's the last? Brazil was the last country outside of Europe not to win the World Cup. We've seen football not deteriorate, but it's molding into a possession-based, not simple, but it's all looking the same. And that can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. It just depends on how you look at it. This tournament is the essence of football. This is why people play football in the parks. People play football on dirt pitches. This is why people play pickup games. Not for the tactics. Not for the tactics. But for the game. Can you beat your man one-on-one? Can you make an outside the foot shot? Outside the box? What are you trying out? It's not about necessarily being successful in everything you do. But it's about doing it well and doing it with style. And that's what football's about. It's not about X's and O's, wins and losses. Zimbabwe plays a lot better football than probably a lot of teams who made it to the knockout stages in Euros. Talent-wise, maybe not. Maybe they lose 3-4-0 because of the tactics or whatever. But if you were to tell me who do I want to watch, Zimbabwe or X-team, European team, I'm going to say Zimbabwe because they play football how I believe football should be played. Mano a mano. But it's a team. If that makes sense. And if it doesn't, you maybe listen to the wrong podcast. African nations. Where does it rank among the other international competitions? I don't know. But African nations, the essence, the unity of football. Let's look at the current groups for African nations. Group A, we have Cameroon. Oh, Lord, I don't know how to pronounce half these names. Being prepared is very essential in life. Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, and Ethiopia. Cameroon 7 points. Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, and Ethiopia. Wait, so Burkina Faso has 4 points. Cape Verde has 4 points. Cameroon 7 points. As of right now, and they're probably, because they have 4 points, Cape Verde will go through. But we don't know. We still have some group games to still play. Group B, Senegal 5 points, Guinea 4 points, Malawi 4 points, and Zimbabwe 1 point. Zimbabwe 3 points. Zimbabwe knocked out. Again, 5 points, 4 points. Malawi with 4 points should go through. But again, we still have games to play. Group C, Morocco 7 points, Gabon 5 points, Cameroon's 3 points, Ghana 1 point. Comoros may 3 points. They have 3 points. So it's another thing, maybe. But with other groups, with Cape Verde and Malawi with 4 points, it's looking tight. It's looking very tight. All right. Group D, Nigeria, Egypt, Ghana, Basui. They haven't played, Group D hasn't played all their matches, so that's, Nigeria will probably go through, but another group that hasn't played all their games. Egypt should go through. They have better talent, but as I said, it's a group. It's a tournament of moments. Ivory Coast, Ecuadorial Guinea, Sierra Leone, Algeria. Maybe the disappointment of the tournament? Still have a chance to go through if they win? I think they go through if they win. We'll see. I think they play Ivory Coast, and they're at the top of the group. So Ivory Coast need to get a result. If they get a result, they're through. But we will see. Group F, Gambia, Mali, Tunisia, Mauritania. Tunisia 3 points, Mali 4 points, Gambia 4 points, Mauritania 0 points. Everyone's still in contention. This is going to be a fun group. Whoever takes Mauritania, it's going to be interesting. So Malawi will probably go through. Comoros probably should go through. Again, nah. They have 3 points. They have 3 points. Top 4 teams go through. Sierra Leone, Algeria may go through. It's just Comoros Comrose is the most difficult one to predict who's going through, who's not going through. They've played all their games, but these other teams have 3 points, 1 point, 2 points. It's not the position you want to be in. I'll just say that. It's not the position you want to be in. You want to control your own destiny. And 3 points, you're just playing on thin ice. It can happen. But difficult. Not difficult, but uncertain, to say the least. Now to Europe. From Africa, with sunshine, lions, and elephants, to Europe, with clouds and dogs. Dogs are cool, but I prefer lions over dogs. Transfer window's now open. Coutinho to Aston Villa, Digne to Aston Villa. Digne to Aston Villa from Everton maybe isn't a great transfer since they fired Rafa Benitez, but we will see. Maybe they've been wanting to get him off the books, and Rafa Benitez was just the excuse because he is one of the best wingbacks in the league. Hopefully Everton can sign a center back or win a few games. Either will work for me. I'm cool with either. They've signed 2 wingbacks. Trippier to Newcastle, their first big signing of the new regime. Dusan Vlahovic to Arsenal. Should he stay in Italy? That's the most competitive league. Maybe not the best, but it is the most competitive as of right now. Now to the team under Arsenal, Manchester United. Manchester United look unmotivated, to say the least. Wolves had a well-deserved win, but effort may work, Manchester. Please, they have the talent, but effort. Manchester City, doing what Manchester City does. A lot of hoopla around Chelsea, a lot of hoopla around Liverpool. But they're somewhat like Alabama in college football. This year, like Liverpool, it didn't work out for them. Like Liverpool with Manchester City, a couple years back, it didn't work out. But let's keep this thing going and see what's up. All right? Manchester City, I believe they may be 13. I know they're 10 plus points ahead in the league. But they don't have a playoffs. Are we just looking for Champions League now? Are English teams just focusing on Champions League? Is that what they're doing? Because I don't see anyone passing Liverpool, passing Chelsea. The 4th spot's the real spot for contention. Who's going to win that? Who's going to get in there? Is Manchester United? Is Arsenal going to stay in? Is Tottenham going to come back up? It just depends. But I'm curious, is Chelsea putting all their eggs in the Champions League basket so they can be back-to-back champions? Only one team's ever done that, and that's Real Madrid. They've won it 3 times. They won it 3 times in a row. Champions League. I know Manchester City has all their eggs in the basket. It's just one of those things where dynasties are interesting. Are they good for sports? Are they bad for sports? If it's competitive, yes, I say it's good for sports. Golden State back in the day wasn't competitive. So maybe it wasn't good for football. This is a sports podcast, and I say football instead of basketball. It wasn't great for basketball. Patriots dynasty was good for football because it was competitive. It has storylines, Deflategate, XYZ, all over it. Manchester City, the biggest scandal has been them spending too much. But that's been it closed. I don't know what happened, but they weren't fined. They didn't get in trouble. They might have been fined, but nothing major happened to them. A Premier League playoffs may not be a bad thing. And them stretching the gap couldn't have happened at the worst time with Mo Salah and African nations. Mo Salah, as we just discussed the groups earlier, Egypt is in contention, so he's going to be trying every single game from here on out. They're not first in their group. They have to win their next game. If they don't win, they're out. So he's going to be trying. He's going to be expelling energy. Right? So Mo Salah's probably going to be a little, if he comes back, when he comes back, he's going to probably be a little bit gassed. Mendy, Senegal probably are going through, but they're probably going to make a deep. I expect for Senegal to make a deep run in the African nations. So Sadio Mane and Mendy are going to expel energy. It's going to happen. So it's going to take them to find their legs and somewhat get back into European football, because it is a different style. It's a different kind of play. It just couldn't have happened at a worse time. Now, does Mendy save Kevin De Bruyne's shot? I don't know. But he's the number one goalkeeper for a reason. Just couldn't have happened at a worse moment. You can see Manchester City can live without Riyad Mahrez. Liverpool's been doing fine. And Chelsea has not been doing horrible. They've fallen off form a little bit compared to earlier in the season. But my thing is, when it's going to be long, it's just not going to be they come back and then they're just going to be back. African Nations, ends probably early February. So they'll be back in February, but they won't be back until probably this time next month. If the tournament ends this time next month. I believe it does. Or it should end around early February. I can check right now. Yes, it ends February the 2nd. So yes, they probably will not be back 100% until January. Not January. February 19th probably. Hopefully, Manchester City's going to lose some games. They're going to lose some games. It's going to happen. Because, again, Champions League will start back up. Now, they may not play the most competitive teams, but Champions League will start back. They're going to play Kevin De Bruyne in one of those games. They're going to play Riyad Mahrez. Maybe not Riyad Mahrez. Raheem Sterling in one of those games. Jack Grealish is going to play. And then they're going to have to play on the weekend. Or a new team's going to play on the weekend. And they're professional footballers. As much as Manchester City's up and away from everyone else, I don't know who they play, but if they play a Southampton, if they play a Leeds, they could get them. If they play a Wolves after a Champions League week, it's possible. But I sort of went off track here. But it is determined on what the Chelsea's going to do when Manchester City lose one or tie one. Because that's the key. if Manchester City, not if Manchester, if Chelsea or Liverpool want to get back into the title race. Will Mo Salah be back? Will Sadio Mane be back? And they have to play Champions League. So if we're looking for a teams to, in my opinion, to take over or challenge Manchester City, it may have to be an Arsenal. It may have to be not a Manchester United, they're in Champions League as well. It may have to be a Tottenham. Because from what I hear, England's the best league in the world. That's what I hear. That's not what I see, but it's what I hear. If they're the best league in the world, all these teams are probably going to go deep in the Champions League. So, this is one of those things where, is the Premier League over in January? And this has been, outside of the one season with Liverpool and Manchester City, even when Liverpool won it, the league was over. League was over before January when they won it, when Liverpool won the league. It's just getting to become a habitual thing where the league's wrapped up by January. And that's not a good model, in my opinion. In my opinion. Other teams can get better. That's why Newcastle getting money is a good thing, I believe. More competitive teams. They may not be a Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool. That may not happen. But it's going to give another team that can get it. You know how Wolves swept Manchester City a couple years back. Newcastle can get a win against Liverpool. Liverpool and Manchester City. So instead of the gap being 13 points or 10 plus points, it's 7 points. And we're not totally focused if Chelsea has to win this game against Manchester City. They have to win this game. If they lose, they're still 4 points, 5 points away. Because Newcastle's a good team. Everton has the money, but we see how Everton runs their football club. I'm not an Everton fan, I like them. I think they're cool, you know? I'm not an Everton fan, though. But that's the goal, I guess, we're trying to get to. That's why I'm swinging my arms around, and I have tea next to my iPad and planner, that's not success. I spilled water last night on the shelf, and you would think I would learn from that mistake. I moved the water, so we're in good shape. Anyways, all of that was not on the script. Big transfers don't happen in the winter. Rudiger's transfer, but rumored to leave, but he probably won't leave. Mbappe, big players are always going to be rumored to transfer. It probably won't happen this winter. Mbappe to Liverpool or Real Madrid. Where do you want him to go? If the Premier League's the best league, Liverpool should be champions next year. Excuse me. If I worded that horribly wrong. If you want a more competitive Premier League, and if the Premier League is as great as we think, Kylian Mbappe to Liverpool makes Liverpool the favorites, and someone will challenge Manchester City, because I'm focusing on this Manchester City being 13 points ahead, because I constantly hear how French league isn't competitive. I constantly hear how Serie A isn't competitive. I hear how La Liga isn't competitive. How there's only 2 teams in La Liga. How there's only 2 teams in this league. How there's only 2. Ajax is always winning Dutch league, Eredivisie. I hear it all the time, but it's the same thing happening in England. Lille won the Champions League, won Liga last year. And the same thing, it looks like the same thing's happening in the Premier League. Where Manchester City's winning it every year, and then you have one, I guess, outcast trailblazer in Liverpool able to beat them. Chelsea won it a few years back. But Monaco won it a few years back. But if you look at it, even before Pep Guardiola, it was Manchester City, Manchester City, Manchester City. And before that, it was Manchester United, Manchester United, Manchester United. A little sprinkle of Arsenal. Here and there. A little sprinkle of Chelsea here and there. But it was really Manchester United. We talk about how great of and competitive of a league it is, but I see the same teams winning the Premier League. Who cares who wins Champions League? Whoever wins second, third, or fourth is cool, but who cares? Who's winning the Champions League? The Premier League. If it's this great league, and am I harsh on the Premier League? When you self-proclaim yourself as the best, it's not given to you. Spaniards aren't saying the Premier League's the best. Dutch people aren't saying the Premier League's the best. French people aren't saying the Premier League's the best. English people are saying the Premier League is the best. English people. That's where I have the problem. Italian people aren't saying the Premier League's the best. They're not. English people are saying the Premier League's the best. Michael Jordan never said he was the best. People said he was the best. And that's where my issue comes with the Premier League. If you're this best, greatest league, you're shown the most in the United States probably because you speak English. Unless you have Paramount Plus, where you can watch Italian league. But that's my issue with the Premier League. If you're curious where this animosity is coming from, it's coming from the self-proclaimed best league by English people. If you're the best, I need more diversity in your champions. But back to Manchester United. I'm selling Bruno. I'm back on the selling Bruno train. Now, Bruno's the best player. Bruno's the greatest attacking threat. All of the above. Yes, yes, yes. But also, it's getting a little Russell Westbrook territory and in OKC where you're the best player. We're somewhat competitive. We're not challenging for a championship. We're not challenging for the Premier League title. So what are we really doing here? I saw the wildest clip. Announcer for OKC, I don't want to bring up old stuff, but he said, Russell Westbrook, you're out of your cotton-picking mind. I couldn't believe that. I watched a video, I was like, whoa. I believe it. I think I remember people discussing it, but I just find that crazy. How someone just said that. Interesting. Now, Bruno Fernandes gives us effort every single game. He changes the games when he comes on the pitch. But is he going to win your Premier League? I don't think so. He doesn't deserve a statue at Manchester United, but he deserves like a seat named after him. Can he get a seat named after him? I know you have not Manchester. You have a stand named after Sir Alex Ferguson. You have the Stretford end. Can you name a seat Bruno? He deserves it. Played well, gave effort when his team doesn't give effort every single game. Talented. Manchester United is probably the most talented team in the Premier League. But effort is what wins you games. When you look like for like Rashford, Greenwood, Lingard, Pogba, Fernandes, Ronaldo, Fred's talented. I don't care what you tell me. Fred is a talented player. Bailly's a talented player. Shaw's a talented player. Bailly. I already said Bailly. Wan-Bissaka's a talented player. Varane's a talented player. De Gea is a talented player. Maguire is talented, but he gives effort. That's why he plays at Manchester United. Maybe he may not be the most flashy. He may sometimes give passes away. That's a part of football, believe it or not. Losing passes is a part of football, but he gives effort. And you need that. Lingard. Lindelof is a talented player. You put Lingard in Real Sociedad, you put Lingard in Real Sociedad, he's probably going to be good as well. But you put Lindelof in Real Sociedad, Athletic Bilbao, Inter Milan, AC Milan, he probably looks good. Because those leagues are a little like African's nations, where tactics are important. Tactics probably win you titles. But it's a little showmanship, you know? I'm also selling Paul Pogba. He's a luxury player. And Manchester United is not a luxury team at the moment in time. They're a team that needs to get their wins out the mud. They got to win 2-1 victories against Norwich City. They got to win 1-0 victories where they park the bus against Leeds United. It's their style. That's how they need to play right now. They're not the Manchester United in the early 2000s, 00s, late 90s. That's not the Manchester United. They're a team that gets it out the mud nowadays. And that's the thing that makes Manchester City, Liverpool, and in some respects Chelsea, they're willing to get it out the mud. That Leeds United-Chelsea game, they got that win out the mud with Chelsea. And it's just an interesting kind of aspect of football, of life. Usually the most successful people get it out the mud. They may show you, oh, I'm clean, crisp, persistent. But most of the time they're getting out the mud. And Manchester United look like a team that think that Manchester doesn't get out the mud, so why should we get out the mud? They think Liverpool's a team that doesn't get out the mud, so why should we get out the mud? We're just as talented as them because they are. But they don't realize Mo Salah gets his goals out the mud. Sadio Mane gets his goals out the mud. Kai Havertz gets his goals out the mud. Kevin De Bruyne, see, that's the talent of Kevin De Bruyne. He may look like he's clean, crisp, but he gets his goals out the mud. Conte gets his goals out the mud. Goals, doesn't score as many goals, but gets his tackles out the mud. All of Conte's game is out the mud. Paul Pogba is luxury. Nothing wrong with luxury, but he's luxury. At Juventus, he had players that could get it out the mud for him, so he didn't have to do all the, I won't say hard work. When he wants to put in hard work, he puts in hard work. But he didn't have to do it as much. Cristiano Ronaldo had Benzema getting out the mud. He had Modric getting out the mud. He had Ramos getting out the mud. Varane getting it out the mud. Cruz getting out the mud. Ozil getting out the mud. Getting it out the mud. Now he has no one to get it out the mud for him. And at Juventus, I think he sort of ran into a similar problem. Gotta get it out the mud. You gotta get it out the mud. You gotta get it out the mud. It's not pretty in the mud. But when you take a shower, you feel like you cleaned yourself a lot better. And titles are the shower. Champions Leagues are the shower. You gotta get it out the mud. And I do believe Varane not having Sergio Ramos is hurting Varane. I remember when I played football, when I played center back for the first time. I had a guy named Andre playing alongside me. He was my Sergio Ramos. Come on, go here. Come on, go here. Drop back. Come on, step here. Do this, do that. I believe Sergio Ramos was doing that for Varane. And he was saying, okay, Varane, you go here, go here, go here. And your talent will just handle everything. I don't think Maguire and Varane even speak the same language. Varane's probably learning English. But I don't see Maguire being that, you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here. You step back here, you do this, you do that. Just putting him in the right positions. I don't see Maguire as that kind of guy. First of all, because, quote unquote, Varane may be a bigger player, may not respect him as much as Ramos. And Maguire, he's the kind of captain who's going to be friends with you. I think Ramos was a kind of captain where he is going to, we're friends, but best believe when I'm serious. And Maguire has some time, he has to win a little bit. He has to do a little something before he can say, when I put my foot down, you listen. That may be another aspect of Manchester United that's missing. Right? They get coaches in and out. It's just one of those aspects of football that's very interesting. Manchester United is a very interesting topic. Very interesting topic. Now, with Bruno and Pogba, if you didn't get it, I'm selling Pogba. With Bruno and Pogba being sold, I'm signing Jude Bellingham from Dortmund. You're probably going to get $100 to $120 million for them, euros for them. So I'm signing Jude Bellingham from Dortmund. I'm signing Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. And I'm also signing Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. And I'm also signing Leon Bailey from Aston Villa. I'm joking about Leon Bailey. I'm not joking about the other three, though. I'm signing Jude Bellingham. I'm signing Ollie Watkins. I'm signing Jacob Ramsey. I need a workhorse and a poacher up front. You're probably going to lose Cavani next year. You're going to need to get someone. Erling Haaland may go to Manchester United, but Erling Haaland at Manchester United is going to be great, fun, cool. But the midfield, which is your main issue, I believe, is still going to be an issue. I believe it's similar to, as I said, when I said Maguire-Varane kind of ordeal, where Maguire probably can't tell Varane what to do because they don't speak the same language. And I don't think Maguire, as I went into earlier. With Fred and McTominay, you got two guys who are very talented, very good, but you need someone to boss the midfield. And that's not necessarily taking over the game. And not everyone can be an N'Golo Kante, where N'Golo Kante probably doesn't say anything, but Kovacic knows what's up. If Kovacic doesn't do his job, N'Golo Kante is going to have his back, and Kovacic, that's how good N'Golo Kante is. Kovacic probably looks at N'Golo Kante and says, I can't slack with this guy. This guy's going to do everything to win this game, and if we lose, it's going to be my fault. McTominay and Fred are very talented, but they're not N'Golo Kante, where they can just lead by example. It's very rare where a player can just lead by example like N'Golo Kante. Very rare. But Fred and McTominay, again, you need a boss in the midfield. Bruno Fernandes could be the boss, but he's not in the midfield, man. He's not in the midfield. He's not in the trenches. He's not in the trenches, man. Because I see McTominay doing good things. I see Fred have his spurts where he's doing good things. But it's where's the synergism? It's a decomposition reaction with those two. Maybe even an exchange, more of an exchange reaction. It's not decomposition. It's more of an exchange reaction. I take here, but you lose this. You take this, but you lose this. We need synergism. And it's not a synergism reaction. Synergism is when you take one drug and it enhances the effects of the other drug. Because that's, I guess it technically could be a reaction. Synthesis reaction is what I was trying to say. But you revamp the midfield. Again, you're selling Bruno Fernandes. So there's no Bruno Fernandes in this scenario. There's no Bruno Fernandes in this scenario. Get it through your mind. There's no Bruno Fernandes. You get a Jude, you get a Jacob, you put a McTominay or a Fred in there. I don't know which ones. I honestly teeter who's the more talented of the two. I do. Because McTominay is a very good player. He's an intimidating player in some respects. You got McTominay, who's, I don't know how tall, he's 6'2 plus. McTominay, Varane, Maguire at the back. That's a big line. McTominay is not a defender, but he's the closest players outside the wing backs to Varane and Maguire. But you can also put Fred in, who's going to be, I don't want to say an 80% off N'Golo Kante, but he's an N'Golo Kante-esque type player, where he's going to work. And I do believe sometimes he overexerts himself, and he can't make the tackles that he wants to make all the time. And due to him and McTominay not having the chemistry, when Fred can't make those tackles, McTominay is not in the right position. But I'm revamping Manchester United's midfield. I'm getting Jude and Jacob. I'm getting Ollie Watkins. May take a while to be a well-oiled machine, but I do believe it's possible. You got to change something. Come on, what about the goals? You'll get goals. You keep Ronaldo, Greenwood, Rashford. Sancho's going to be in the second year. The goals are going to come. That's the one thing I'm not worried with Manchester United. The goals. And you do have Van der Beek, so as another guy, I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not worried about the offense in Jacksonville either. I think they need a defensive head coach. I think the Jaguars need a defensive head coach. I do. Now, is that Bowles? I'll take Doug Peterson. Is that Bowles? Is that the coach, the defense coordinator for the Cowboys? I think they need a defensive guy. Doug Peterson will work, but Todd Bowles is my number one candidate. I don't think they need help offensively. I really do not. I think they need consistency in the defense. What the Jaguars need is consistency overall. That's why maybe a Doug Peterson may be the best choice, because I think he can bring that consistency. I think he can. He's more of an offensive guy. But the Jaguars defense is talented. We saw that against the Bills. We saw that against the Colts. Against the Patriots, But you're welcome, Pittsburgh. We're not talking about the Jaguars today. That's like finish the season strong, Jacksonville. I'll support whoever you hire, just like I had to support Urban Meyer. I wasn't a big Urban Meyer fan, but I supported him. He's a Jacksonville Jaguar. And when from Jacksonville, believe it or not, I have to support you. Because that's my city. 50-10 last was this week 17. Come back and beat the Colts and get the the Packers, not the Packers. The Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers into the playoffs. Albeit, they get knocked out in the first round. That's cool. But Big Ben able to make the playoffs this last season. Mike Tomlin, his job really is in jeopardy. So, they have a situation there. I hear they don't want Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. They don't want experience. They want, I guess, a refresh. Tough when you have a great defense. It's tough. That's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. When you have a Watt and a Minka Fitzpatrick, and you have good players up and coming, it's tough to restart. Jaguars, man. Chemistry and talent. Chemistry and experience is what we need. Is what the Jaguars need. But less about the Jaguars. More about the themes I heard over winter break, reading columns, watching sports talk show. Watching other sports talk shows, I realized Peng Sports Podcast, we're in a good place. We're on the yellow brick road. Need to improve. Getting a little of the rust out. But we're looking good, people. We're looking good. We're in good shape, I believe. We're on the yellow brick road. But another theme I saw was the criticism, the slander of a man who won 8 games this season in a division that has 2 of the top 5 defenses in it. I'll give you a minute to think about who this guy is. I'll throw in a land speed for you. Here's a land speed. Figured it out who won 8 games this year, but constantly gets slandered. He plays for a team in Florida. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa. Constant. I hear it over and over again. When are they gonna get Deshaun Watson? When's this gonna happen? When's He won 8 games in his second season. Last time I checked, Justin Herbert won 9 games. He won 9 games. But the Dolphins won 9 games overall. Joe Burrow won 11 games, if I'm not mistaken. He may have won 10 games. I'm not totally sure on Joe Burrow's record. But it's not. They're not winning. He's not winning 2 games, and they're winning 8 games, and they're winning 9, 11 games, 10 games. It's not one of those ordeals. He won 8 games and he was injured for a lot of the season. Not a lot, but a good amount. A chunk. Tua didn't play one of the worst defenses in the league in Kansas City twice. He didn't play a COVID-listed Ravens defense. Injured Ravens defense. When we saw Joe Burrow play a top 10 defense against the Browns, he didn't have his best game. Tua swept the Patriots. His best wide receiver is a rookie. And Waddle. Well, Kamal Daniels, Joe Burrow has a rookie wide receiver, but he doesn't have T. Higgins and Joe Mixon with him. Joe Burrow also has better weapons. People. Well, how about the defense of Miami? Well, they just averaged 0.3 less points than the Bengals defense. He completes short passes. He has no arm talent, Kamal. How do you not see that? Maybe he just gives what the defense... He takes what the defense gives him. He's a game manager. Somehow, someway, that's become a criticism. Because last time I checked, Dan Marino threw for a bunch of yards, but Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl. Brett Favre threw for a bunch of yards, gunslinger. But Eli Manning has one more Super Bowl than him. Dallas threw for the most passing yards in the NFL this season. But Jimmy G is going to the divisional round of the playoffs. Tua Tagovailoa won 6 games in a row and won 8 games overall. The other game, Jacoby Brissett won. And that was against the Texans. Texans are a good team. But think Tua would have been able to muster a win against the Texans. I think so. I like to think he would have. Justin Herbert won 9 games this year. Tua Tagovailoa won 8 games this year. In a division where he plays the Bills and the Patriots 4 times out of the year. Is it because he's left-handed? I'm left-handed. When I write, not when I throw. When I write, when I eat, I'm left-handed. When I throw, I'm right-handed. I'm just saying. Maybe it's not. It may be a different form, but winning 8 games in your second season and improving, being in playoff contention both of your seasons. Now, last season, it was a little different. He didn't play for a lot of the season, but he was clearly talented enough to win the starting job back. Fitzmagic wasn't enough. 8 games this season. Probably would have won 9 if he was healthy. May have even won 10 if he was healthy. Because some of those games Jacoby Brissett played were close games. And maybe Tua would have won another game. Speculation, though. It's speculation. Isn't the league determined off wins and losses, not how many yards you throw? The coach getting fired doesn't help. But this is what makes or breaks a player. Justin Herbert got his coach fired. He didn't get his coach fired. He did not get his coach. His coach got fired. He did not get his coach fired. Let me clarify that right now. Justin Herbert did not get his coach fired. But his coach did get fired, and we see what happens next year when he gets a new coach. For Tua, this is a key season for him. This 3rd season. How are you going to respond? Are you going to be a 10-year starter, Tua? Are you going to make me look competent in 2022-2023 season? Or are you going to be a backup for the next, a journeyman? Oh man, he was great at Alabama. We're just going to figure it out. I think he has the talent. I think he has the guile to do it. Especially, this is just a bad timing for the Dolphins, I believe. I believe Tua was just getting comfortable. And I don't think it's an abilities thing for Tua. I think it's a comfortability thing. If comfortability is even a word. I think next year would have been a big year for Tua if they would have kept the head coach. Well, we will see now. Leftwich, maybe? Huh? Now that's a team that needs an offensive coordinator. Guru, as they would say. Leftwich? I'll take Todd Bowles off your hands, Tampa Bay. The Jags will take Todd Bowles off your hand. Miami can have Leftwich, even though Leftwich is a Jacksonville legend. Todd Bowles, Doug Peterson. Jim Caldwell is also in the mix, but I don't know. But you can have him, Miami. Leftwich is my front runner for the Miami position. I believe Kellen Moore is going to go to Minnesota, the Vikings. I believe that. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my soul. I'm on the Tua bandwagon, and newcomers are always welcome. Now to a quarterback that won 6 games this year. I'm going to play another Lance beat, so you guys have time to think about it. If you didn't get the first one. Yes, Baker Mayfield. You got that one. I know you got that one. I'm not on the Baker Mayfield train, but I don't like hitting a man when he's down, when he has a shoulder injury, when he was dealing with Odell Beckham issues. And yes, they're issues. Even if Odell Beckham's I don't think he's a troublemaker player. But I do believe when you have a story like that, it does have an effect on the team. I do believe that. Now, is Odell Beckham the reason for it? Yes, he is the reason for it, but he's not. I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve to do what he did. If he feels like he needs to go to a better position, good for him. But it does have an effect on the team. I do believe that. The Browns' overall record was 8-9. As I said, Baker won 6 games. Other 2 games, Texans again. I think he would have been able to muster a win against the Texans. And Cincinnati, who didn't play their starters, was another game, the other game that they won without Baker. 2 games that I believe Baker Mayfield would have won. I don't care what you tell me. Baker Mayfield is not a talent issue. It's a consistency issue. And with his shoulder, that affected his consistency. It's a consistency issue with Baker Mayfield. The Browns' best win in the season was against the Cincinnati Bengals, 41-16. Baker threw for 216 yards. They had a balanced rushing game that game. Rushing attack that game. Then we go to week 17, maybe their worst loss of the season, 26-14 to the Steelers. And Baker Mayfield looks stressed. I do believe Kareem Hunt getting injured has an effect. He is a key to the offense. Now, can Baker Mayfield play without a Kareem Hunt? Without a Nick Chubb? I believe that. Just, it's very difficult when you have an identity and you have to change it in the middle of the season. I do believe that. You're accustomed to certain things and you have to adjust and you get injured. Now, Baker Mayfield makes good commercials, and he's probably a really good team. He seems as though he's a good teammate. And I do 110% believe that he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL when he is firing out on cylinders. When he threw for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cincinnati Bengals, he looked like a top 10 quarterback. Now, you can do your list in your head right now, but I do believe it. We like to get lost in sauce a little bit. As people, I get lost in the sauce, you get lost in the sauce. Shout out to Gucci Mane. One season and we're on people's bandwagons. And that's good, that's a good thing. But it's a longevity thing. And I do believe when Baker Mayfield, I know it seems like what I said, top 10 quarterback seems like a stretch. But I do believe that. But the most important thing about Baker Mayfield and Tua Tagovailoa is is the identity Manchester United need to gain. And that's getting it out the mud. Both of those players get it out the mud. And I don't know what the name of this podcast episode will be, but getting it out the mud will be mentioned somewhere. And maybe I'm back. I'm back. That might be the name of the episode. Get up off of that thing and dance so you feel better. Get up off of that thing and release that pressure. Hey, get up off of that. Okay, back. James Brown, underrated. I think James Brown's getting forgotten. Now that's something that we need to really discuss. Maybe episode 42, the Jackie Robinson episode, we talk about how James Brown ain't being talked about enough. Is it because he didn't have a documentary about him, about how he does heinous things? Because he was a stand-up guy? Is that the reason why? Shout out to James Brown. But James Brown got out the mud. Let's just keep it a buck. 50 with you. James Brown got out the mud. Baker Mayfield gets out of the mud. Tua Tagovailoa gets out of the mud. And believe it or not, Baker Mayfield and Tua Tagovailoa is more like you and I. That was incorrect grammar. It's more like you and me than Aaron Rodgers. You're more like Baker Mayfield than Aaron Rodgers. You're more like Tua Tagovailoa than Aaron Rodgers. I'm telling you. Why do we hate on people who are like us? Is it because you're insecure in yourself and you don't like yourself? Is that the reason why? Is that why you hate on Tua Tagovailoa and Baker Mayfield? Well, that's very unfair. That's very unfair. You got out the mud just like Baker Mayfield and Tua Tagovailoa got out the mud. Aaron Rodgers got out the mud. He's sort of like Kevin De Bruyne. But it's different. You're more like a Tua Tagovailoa and Baker Mayfield. You remember when you were a Baker Mayfield. You remember that. And all you needed was someone to believe in you. And someone probably did, and that's why you're listening to this podcast right now doing your thing. That's why you're doing it. But we want to forget that. We want to forget that aspect of our lives. I'm just saying, man. Let's ease off Baker Mayfield. Let's ease off Tua. They didn't go 2-15. They didn't go 3-14. They won. They were in playoff contention. And Baker Mayfield was injured with a shoulder injury, missed games. Tua Tagovailoa was injured, and they still won. Tua's team won 9 games. He won 8 of those games. Baker Mayfield's team won 8 games, and he won 6 of those games. And as I described to you, they probably would have won those 8 or 9 games. Most likely. I don't know where this criticism is coming from. Baker Mayfield had a top 5 defense. Cool. You need top defenses to win Super Bowls. Josh Allen has the best defense in the league. He has the best defense in the league. Let's not get it confused. Tom Brady perennially had some of the best defenses in the league. Last year, he definitely had one of the best defenses. I mean, so I don't like the whole defense narrative. Let's get that off the back. Let's take that away. You gotta have a good defense to win the Super Bowl. You have to. To win, you have to have a good defense. The Jaguars, 2 of their victories were because of their defense. It was because of the defense. The man won 6 games, went to the playoffs last year, and Baker Mayfield went to the playoffs last year. Tua Tagovailoa, and the 2 seasons he's played, Fitzmagic or not Fitzmagic, he's been in playoff contention multiple times and 2 times. And there's a quarterback in Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, who I'm a huge fan of. He cannot ever say that he was in playoff contention his first 2 years. He can never say that. Tua Tagovailoa can. It's facts, man. It's facts. It's facts. You're more like Jimmy G than Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of Jimmy G and the 49ers, who back you got? Come on, NFL. We got to do better with the marketing thing. We got to do better with that. Who back you got? You could have came up with a better one, a better slang. I know you're trying to be hip, but there's better hip terms, hip sayings you have. 2 Chainz probably thought of like 7 when he was recording that commercial. Come on, man. I know 2 Chainz didn't create that. Because it would have been way better if 2 Chainz did. I'm just saying, people. Who back you got? We gotta do better, man. 2 Chainz did phenomenal in that commercial. I do say so myself. If I do say so myself, he did a phenomenal job. But who back you got? Come on, man. We gotta do better. Marketing NFL. We have to do better. Scheduling. We have to do better. We have to. We have to. Maybe the Super Wildcard weekend isn't it. Last year was cool, but this year, just like the college football playoff, it was cool like the first few years, but now it's just getting, okay, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say next year the national champion will be from Georgia, Alabama, Florida, or Texas, or South Carolina. And Texas and Florida is sort of a stretch, but I'm gonna say it. I'm just saying, Alabama. Okay, I changed it. It's gonna be from Alabama, Louisiana, South Carolina, or Georgia. Those are the 4 states where the national championship will come from. Maybe Ohio. Maybe Ohio. Maybe Ohio. And is that a good thing for sports? I don't know. I don't know. But I just feel like I had to say that. Anywho. Divisional round of the 2022 playoffs. Predictions.
Wild.
Most likely on American football and other sports I don't know a lot about.
Ow,
like
my leg.
ping
I
pong.
can't run. The
Predictions.
lion eats me, and I'm dead.
Bengals versus Titans. Titans are better than people think. I do believe so. And oh no, but they have a game manager. They can't. They won't win. They probably won't win. They have a game manager. Goodness gracious. He's going to make the right pass and control time of possession. Oh, God. I'm choosing the Titans, but it probably won't happen because they have a game manager. 49ers versus Green Bay. Packers win at home. Rams versus Buccaneers. This is the last chance for Tom Brady not to win a Super Bowl. Because if he gets to the NFC Championship game, it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. I mean, we've seen it multiple times. Off the top of my head right now, I can think of one championship game, not Super Bowl, championship game that Tom Brady has lost. And that was against the Broncos. In Peyton Manning's last year, when they had an all-time defense. But I do believe this is the last chance. He may have lost to the Ravens in a championship game. Anywho. So for the sake of diversity in the Super Bowl, I'm going to say the Rams go to Tampa Bay and win against the Buccaneers. It's going to be an interesting game because they're going to play outside. I think that's a factor. I do. I'm going with the man who's a gunslinger in Matthew Stafford and a man who plays with diamonds in his teeth in Odell Beckham. I hope his enamel's good. I'm going with the Rams. Shout out to Jared Goff. Last game of the divisional round, Chiefs versus Bills. For the sake of diversity, I'm going with the upset win in the Bills. I believe they have the best defense in the league. Or they have a top 3 defense in the league. And I think they're going to get 1 to 2 to 3 more stops than the Chiefs defense will. Bills win. Our regular season record overall was 153-17. A winning record, I get to keep my job for another year. Unless I play in the NFL. Unless I coach in the NFL. Because winning records and exceeding expectations don't work. What does work is being a nice guy. This is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 40. Remember, nice guys finish first and mean girls don't last. MLK Day was on Monday. Live how you interpret in Martin Luther King's speeches. Have a good week. Remember, you get it out the mud. Don't try to be pretty. You get it out the mud. Have a good week. Have a good Monday. Have a good Tuesday. I'll see you on Thursday. Jackie Robinson episode next week, 42. Alright, it's the Peng Sports Podcast. Kamal Daniels, signing out.